At the engagement ceremony, my phone suddenly vibrated. It was from an unfamiliar account. A paid video link had been sent to me. The price was 888 yuan. Below it was a small line, "A surprise from your wife." It felt like inheriting something fierce. A nameless anger rushed straight to my head. But more than that, I had an absurd bad feeling. I entered my payment password. The video buffered for 1 second. Then the screen lit up. The moment it lit up, my breath stopped. Inside a dim hotel room, a woman was sitting on a man's lap. Their movements were intense. Even if that face had turned to ash, I would still recognize her. Liu Ruyan, the woman I was about to marry. And I also knew the man beneath her, Yi Tingsheng. He was the one she kept hidden in her heart, the first love whose contact she never deleted. In that instant, my blood seemed to freeze. The world fell completely silent. All I could hear was the ringing in my ears. I did not smash the wall. I did not lose control on the spot either. Instead, I calmly saved the video. Then I projected it onto the big screen behind the stage. Engagement gift. 888 yuan. Everyone, please enjoy it. To all our relatives and friends. At first, they thought it was a playful couple video, but less than 10 seconds later, the entire room was stunned. My future mother-in-law was the first to stand up. Have you lost your mind? What on earth did you put up there? Her scream echoed through the hall, almost shattering my eardrums. I looked at her, my voice calm like still water. I posted the video. Did you not see it clearly? Why would you fake this kind of video to frame Ruyan? What has she ever done to wrong you? Even at this point, her family was still lying to themselves. Whether it is fake or not, you know it in your heart, or you can ask her right now. My future mother-in-law still wanted to say something, but my father stopped her from the side. Zixuan, what are you doing? Turn it off right now. What problem cannot be discussed privately? Why make a scene here? Ed. My dignity was trampled underfoot at my own engagement banquet. Is reputation more important than your son's dignity? Backstage, Liu Ruyan, who had been resting, also heard the commotion. With messy hair, she rushed into the hall. Tears were still on her face. Wang Zixuan. What kind of madness is this? That video is fake. Who even said I was pregnant? Wang Zixuan, have you lost your mind? Her mother had turned and shouted at me, pointing right at my nose. Everyone look. Wang Zixuan just wants to break off the marriage. That is why he used an eye face swap to frame our Ruyan. My poor Ruyan has such a hard life. I watched this other family performance scolded. I said nothing. Instead, I reached into my pocket and took out a backup phone. I opened a cloud drive link. You say it was a face swap, right? I projected my phone screen again. On it were the photos I had just recovered from Liu Ruyan's cloud drive. Every single one was an intimate photo of her and Yi Tingsheng, from college until the newest one from last week. There was even one at the entrance of the hotel in that video. I kindly opened the detailed information for each photo. The time and location were perfectly clear. Are the photos in your phone also generated? Liu Ruyan's crying stopped abruptly. She stared fixedly at my phone screen. The color drained from her face at a visible speed, leaving her as pale as paper. And there is more. These are your hotel booking records with Yi Tingsheng. 23 times over the past year. Do you need me to read them out loud? January 23rd, 5:37 p.m. South City Boutique Hotel, Couple Suite. Enough. Liu Ruyan's body swayed. She collapsed onto the floor. In an instant, her parents stopped cursing too. They looked at their daughter in disbelief. Then looked at me. The guests also raised their phones one after another, ready to watch the drama unfold. What else is there to say? Get out. Just then, my phone screen lit up. A text message came from Yi Tingsheng. It was like an arrogant declaration of war. Clearly, he still had not realized this was only the beginning. I deleted the message, as if nothing had happened. That night, I sat in front of my computer and wrote a simple script. I took that 888 yuan video covered the sensitive parts with messiah, and added Yiting Cheng's arrogant line, "Thank you for paying the bride price." I edited it into a 15-second short video. That video, together with screenshots of Liu Ruyan and Yiting Cheng's hotel records, was uploaded at the same time to over 100 local live forums, gossip groups, and short video platforms. I did not use any of my own information. All IP addresses were routed through layers of proxies, pointing overseas. I also spent 1,000 yuan to hire a few marketing accounts to aim the focus precisely at Liu Ruyan and Yiting Cheng's workplaces. A certain group's PR manager exposed in an engagement scandal, a project manager accused of manipulating feelings. With money pushing them forward, the two topics began to spread. At first, it only circulated on a small scale, but very soon, a gossip blogger with over 10 million followers reposted the video. Public opinion exploded in an instant, like an avalanche. There was no stopping it. Liu Ruyan's social media accounts were dug up. All the peaceful, perfect life photos she had posted before now became jokes. And under the official account of Yiting Cheng's company, thousands of questions and mocking comments poured in. Can your company's management even manage themselves properly? Does the money we spend on your group products all turn into hotel bills for people like this? For a large company like that, brand image matters most. Negative public opinion is a serious poison. Sure enough, at 9 o'clock the next morning, Yiting Cheng's company website issued a termination statement. They cut ties cleanly and separated themselves from the whole matter. It seemed Yiting Cheng had been mercilessly abandoned by the workplace he was so proud of. But this was only the beginning. Because of this incident, Liu Ruyan also lost her job. She lost her future husband and her reputation as well. Maybe she could not bear it anymore because that night she called me. On the other end of the phone came the sound of crying after a long class. Vic Xuan, I am begging you. Please forgive me. I was wrong. I will do anything for you. Just forgive me. I listened quietly. In the gaps between her sobs, I clearly heard another woman's impatient voice on the other end. Look at the mess you made. Now look what happened. The cash machine is gone. And the house we almost had is gone too. It was Liu Ruyan's mother. Without saying a word, I hung up the phone. Then I blocked every way Liu Ruyan could contact me. I almost forgot. There was still a house between Liu Ruyan and me. Back then, to avoid the second home policy, I used Liu Ruyan's qualification as a first-time buyer. But in reality, I had paid most of the money for the house. Now that they had schemed all the way onto my head, how could I let them get what they wanted? I immediately called the real estate agent and asked him to help sell the wedding house. The sooner it was sold, the better. By the next morning, her name appeared in my WeChat friend requests. Clearly, she had discovered that I deleted her. But when I returned to my parents' home, I found that she was already waiting inside. The Liu family had come as well. Liu Ruyan's eyes were red, and there were still dried tear marks on her face. The moment she saw me, she rushed over. Zixuan, why did you delete my WeChat? You blocked me. I could not contact you. I was terrified. I looked at her without expression, as if I were looking at a stranger. Aunt Liu pulled back her emotional daughter and stared at me with displeasure. It was still the same old routine, complaining that I ignored calls and vanished, and that I wanted to break up over a tiny matter. Why are we breaking up? Do you not know that yourselves? Was the video not clear enough? Do you need me to show it to you again? Liu Ruyan's face instantly turned pale. She grabbed my arm and explained mechanically, it is not what you think. I can explain. That day, I only had a little to drink. I looked at her coldly. I am serious about breaking up. There is nothing left to say between us. Now only some property issues need to be settled. I looked at Liu Ruyan and said every word clearly. The wedding house we bought together must be dealt with. I have already contacted an agent to list it. Only then did Ruyan look at her mother's face, and her expression really changed. That house was the last chain tying our relationship together. It was also the asset they had emptied their savings for. No way. What right do you have to handle it? The house is under Ruyan's name. We paid 300,000 for the down payment. What does that have to do with you? Lidu Ruyan also grabbed my hand, crying as she said, Zixuan, you cannot do this to me. That is our home. We agreed to get married there and spend our whole lives there. Have you forgotten? I pulled my hand back with all my strength and thought, a place that could abandon me at any time for another man. How can that be called a home? I saw Aunt Lou's eyes turn cold and sharp. You are right. The property certificate only has Lidu Ruyan's name. When we bought the house, it was to avoid the second home policy. There was an old house under my name from my parents, so we used her first home qualification. I trusted her, so I agreed to put only her name on it. But the 1.2 million yuan down payment, your family paid 300,000, and I paid 900,000. That 700,000 was my savings over the years. The other 200,000 came from my parents. I kept every transfer record and every bank statement. Aunt Lou's arrogant tone instantly lost half its force. I ignored her and continued, besides the down payment, for the past 2 years, the monthly mortgage of 12,000 yuan was paid by me alone. I also paid the 500,000 yuan for renovations. I have complete evidence for all of it. Now that we have broken up, it is fine if the house goes to Lidu Ruyan, but she must return all the money I paid, principal and interest, without missing a single cent. That includes the 900,000 down payment, 24 months of mortgage payments totaling 288,000, and 500,000 in renovation costs. Altogether, that is worth 688 yuan. The room fell completely silent. Lidu Ruyan and her mother stared at me, dumbfounded, as if they did not know me at all. In their impression, I had always been the perfect boyfriend who obeyed Lidu Ruyan in everything and pampered her without limit. They thought that as long as they brought up 7 years of feelings, and as long as they cried a little, I would definitely soften and sympathize. But they never expected me to be so calm this time, so decisive, and even to calculate every account so clearly. You are too cruel. Our Ruyan gave you the best 7 years of her life. How can you calculate against her like this? Auntie, let us be reasonable. If I were the one who had cheated today, would you let me leave with a single cent? Why is it that when your daughter makes a mistake, I become cruel? I am calculating against her? Was that even a mistake? That was only a favor between friends. You are making a big deal out of nothing. I nodded. There is no need to argue right or wrong anymore. Since that is how you see it, there is even less to discuss. Let us part cleanly. The amount is about 688 yuan. Either you repay the money, and the house is yours, or you agree to sell it and divide the proceeds based on our contributions. Lidu Ruyan finally recovered from her shock. She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. Zixuan, I do not have money. How could I give you that much? Please do not treat me like this. Let us not break up, okay? I was wrong. I really was wrong. We can hold the engagement banquet again. Please give me one more chance. Her crying sounded especially tragic. If this had happened in the past, I would probably have pulled her into my arms with a broken heart. But now, my heart was as hard as stone. If you have no money, then sell the house. No, the house cannot be sold. That is Ruyan's wedding house. Wedding house? I let out a bitter laugh. The person she wants to marry is not even me. Why keep the wedding house? To wait for Yi Tunsheng to move in? Lidu Ruyan's face instantly turned pale again. She screamed with tears in her voice, Zixuan, how can you say that about me? In your heart, am I that kind of person? My father, who had stayed silent, finally spoke. He stood up and walked in front of Lidu Ruyan and her mother. His tone was steady, but carried unquestionable authority. Ladies, my son has already made himself very clear. Our family does not want to make this too ugly. But we will not suffer losses for no reason either. That house is the hard work of both families. Now that the two of you can no longer be together, dividing it according to contribution is fair and reasonable. If you agree, we can sit down and discuss it properly. If you do not agree, then we can only meet in court. At that point, it will not benefit anyone. My father's words completely crushed Aunt Lou's last line of defense. She knew our family was serious, and we held all the evidence. If this went to court, they would certainly lose. By then, not only would they get nothing, they might even have to pay more. Although Aunt Liu was full of unwillingness, there was nothing she could do. She could only nod and agree. Liu Ruyan stared blankly at me, her eyes filled with disbelief. She probably never imagined that the gentle me she knew could have such a cold and unforgiving side. But everything was too late. From the moment she chose to abandon me at the engagement banquet and run into Tinsheng's arms, everything between us could never go back. Not long after, the house was reserved by a newlywed couple. After deducting the 300,000 yuan owed to Liu Ruyan, there was still quite a lot left. That became the capital for my fresh start. Because I had spent an entire year around construction sites, I had learned a lot about the renovation and building materials industry. I also came to know some reliable suppliers and construction teams. I thought, maybe I could turn this into my own career. Through the introduction of my good friend, I met Mr. Dao of Han Yuan Group. He had recently been looking for a renovation team. He had contacted several design companies but was not satisfied, but my proposal made his eyes light up. Mr. Dao said directly that he wanted to open a renovation branch and asked me to work with him, serving as the branch company's general manager. I agreed. In the days that followed, I threw myself completely into preparing the new company, registering the company, renting office space, and recruiting employees. Everything started from zero. Half a month later, Han Yuan Home was officially established. The office was set in a high-end office building. The decoration style was simple but tasteful. Every detail carried a sense of design. On the opening day, Mr. Zhao personally came to cut the ribbon for the company. He also invited many business friends and media reporters. The scene was very grand. As the branch company's general manager, I went on stage to speak. At that moment, I was no longer the man who had humbled himself into the dust for love. I was an entrepreneur moving toward my own career and future. But right after the opening ceremony ended, an uninvited guest suddenly appeared. It was Liu Ruyan. She was heavily drunk. Her whole body reeked of alcohol. Her hair was a complete mess. The moment she saw me, her eyes turned red. Zixuan, I finally found you. She rushed over, wanting to hug me. I stepped aside and dodged her. She missed and fell hard onto the floor. Why did you not reply to my messages? Why would you not answer my calls? She lay on the ground crying, drawing everyone's attention. Mr. Dao frowned and looked at me. My scalp went numb. Was this woman trying to make me lose all face? Mr. Dao asked with some displeasure, who is this? I could only answer helplessly, she is my ex-girlfriend. I crouched down and tried to help Liu Ruyan up. But Liu Ruyan pushed my hand away and tightly grabbed my pant leg, crying so hard she could barely breathe. Zixuan, do not abandon me. I really know I was wrong. Without you, I cannot go on. In that state, she looked like an abandoned, resentful woman, drawing even more whispers from the people around us. Seeing that I remained unmoved, Liu Ruyan immediately changed her expression. Pointing at me, she cried to everyone around her, look, it is this man. For another woman, he abandoned our 7-year relationship. Not only did he sell our wedding house, he also drove me straight out of the home. He is a heartless man, a modern-day Chen Shaimai. Liu Ruyan's words were like a bomb. They instantly exploded through the venue. All eyes focused on me, filled with doubt and condemnation. Mr. Dao's face completely darkened. Only our mutual friends knew about what happened at the engagement banquet, and even then, only from scattered chat records. Liu Ruyan dared to say this, because she was sure that no one present would believe those vague conversations. Since she was having a bad time, she wanted to ruin my reputation today as well, so I would have no peace either. I was so angry that my whole body trembled. It felt like a giant stone was blocking my chest. I had seen shameless people before, but never anyone this shameless. I took a deep breath and forced myself to calm down. I looked at Liu Ruyan sprawled on the floor making a scene. Liu Ruyan, are you sure you want to explain everything right here? My voice was not loud, but it carried a bone-chilling meaning. Liu Ruyan froze under my gaze. Her crying gradually quieted, but she was still cursing me under her breath. I nodded. I took out my phone and opened a video. It was surveillance footage from the living room of the wedding house. I had installed it for security at first, and also to check the renovation progress. I originally planned to delete it, but when selling the house, for some reason, I backed up a few clips. I connected my phone to the venue's big screen. Since my ex-girlfriend says I am heartless, I will let everyone see who the heartless one really is. The video began to play. The first clip showed Liu Ruyan and Yitin Chang sitting on the living room sofa. Ruyan, are you really going to marry Wang Zichuan? He is so boring. He is not good enough for you at all. I have no choice. He treats me well, and we have been together for so many years. We even bought the wedding house. Treating you well is only material comfort. Your soul is lonely. Only I understand you. As Yitin Chang spoke, he held Liu Ruyan's hand. Liu Ruyan did not pull away. Instead, she leaned on his shoulder. Ah Chang, sometimes I really want to leave with you no matter what. Then reject his proposal. Isn't the house under your name? Say a few sweet words to coax him, and get the right to dispose of the house too. Then kick him aside. The two of us can be together openly. The venue instantly fell completely silent. Everyone stared at the screen in shock, then turned to look at Liu Ruyan lying on the floor. Liu Ruyan's face instantly turned pale. I did not stop. I continued playing the second video. It was from the night before our engagement banquet. I had gone to the company for overtime because of a sudden project issue. In the video, Yitin Chang pushed the door open and walked in. He and Liu Ruyan embraced and kissed on the sofa. His hands even began to move inappropriately. Liu Ruyan seemed to have her fuse, but her body honestly leaned toward Yitin Chang. Yitin Chang laughed and kissed her even deeper. With a buzzing sound, the entire venue completely erupted. The looks of contempt that had been aimed at me now all turned into disgust and disdain toward Liu Ruyan. Liu Ruyan was completely stunned. She stared blankly at my phone, her mouth open wide enough to fit an egg, but not a single sound came out. She probably never dreamed that her most private and ugliest side would be exposed by me in this way. I turned off the video and looked down at Liu Ruyan coldly. Now, do you still think I am the heartless one? She pointed at me, so angry that her whole body trembled. You actually monitored me? You are sick. If I had not been a little cautious, would I have walked into marriage with the betrayal you gave me, and walk into the wedding hall with you, then used the money I earned to support you and your so-called male best friend? Liu Ruyan was left speechless by my words. She could only lie on the floor making hopeless, meaningless sounds. I no longer paid attention to her. I turned to face everyone in the venue and said, to all the media friends here, I know you want news. No problem, I will give it to you. I took out my phone and sent those surveillance clips and the passing chat records to every reporter present through Bluetooth. I had already thought of the titles. For example, on the night before the wedding, bride and male best friend share a deep connection. Or best male best friend of the year crosses the line with your wife and still expects you to be generous. The reporters instantly went wild. One by one, they lowered their heads and stared at their phones, their faces full of excitement and shock. Liu Ruyan stared at me fixedly, so angry that her whole body trembled. I looked at her coldly and directly called the venue security. They removed Liu Ruyan in all her embarrassing disorder from the office building. The farce finally came to an end. I turned and bowed to all the guests, expressing my apology. The guests did not blame me much. Instead, a wave of kind applause sounded, but there was not the slightest joy in my heart. Using this method to tear open my most unbearable wound for others to see actually hurt me too. But to completely free myself from Liu Ruyan, everything was worth it. From then on, I never heard any news about Liu Ruyan again. When I heard about Liu Ruyan again, half a year had passed. At that time, my company's orders had just surged, and I was in an especially good mood. Mr. Zhao's appreciation for me also grew day by day. He even specially introduced his daughter, Zhao Qingita, to me. Our relationship developed very steadily. But on the day before I was busy preparing to propose, I received a call from the police. Hello? May I ask if this is Mr. Wang Zixuan? We are from the Chengxi police station. Your ex-girlfriend Liu Ruyan fell from the rooftop of your former residential community. She is currently being rescued in the hospital. She left behind a farewell letter, accusing you of pushing her to this point. The moment I received the call, my mind went completely blank. Liu Ruyan had actually fallen from a building, and she left behind a letter, saying I was the person who drove her to it. Absurdity, shock, and a trace of indescribable complicated emotion instantly filled my heart. No, officer. Could there be some mistake? We broke up long ago. What does her fall have to do with me? Mr. Wang, we are only notifying you according to procedure. Your name was written in the farewell letter. We need you to come in and cooperate with the investigation. After hanging up, I immediately called Mr. Zhao. I briefly explained the situation to him. Mr. Zhao told me not to panic. He said he would immediately arrange for the company's legal counsel to accompany me. Half an hour later, company lawyer Song and I met at the entrance of the Chengxi police station. Walking into the police station, a solemn and serious atmosphere rushed toward me. Liu Ruyan's parents were both there. Yi Tinsheng was there too. The moment Liu Ruyan's mother saw me, she rushed over like she had lost control. She grabbed and hit me, while constantly cursing that I had caused her daughter's tragedy. Two officers quickly stepped forward and pulled her away. Liu Ruyan's father had bloodshot eyes and stared at me without blinking. Yi Tinsheng stood to the side, his face pale, his eyes dodging because he did not dare meet mine. An officer led me into an interview room. Lawyer Song followed me inside as well. The officer pushed a printed document in front of me. This is the farewell letter Liu Ruyan left behind. I picked up the paper, and my hands trembled slightly without my control. It read, to my beloved Zixuan, when you see this letter, I will have already left this world. Forgive me for proving my love to you in this way. I know I was wrong. I should not have been entangled with Yi Tinsheng. I should not have planned with him to escape the engagement banquet. And I should not have said those words that hurt you. But I truly loved you. Those 7 years we shared. Have you really forgotten them all? I thought that as long as I turned back, you would always be waiting for me in the same place. But I never expected you to be so cruel. You sold our home. You humiliated me in front of everyone. You pushed me to the edge. Now your company is thriving, and you have become a boss everyone envies. There must be a younger, prettier woman beside you now, right? Did you want to get rid of me long ago? Was the engagement banquet only an excuse you had planned in advance? Zixuan, you are truly heartless. I am leaving with all my love and disappointment toward you. I leave this resentment with my life. May you live in guilt for the rest of your life, and never find happiness. Ruyan, who loves you. After reading the letter, I was so angry that my whole body trembled. This was a farewell letter that twisted right and wrong. It was a vicious accusation. Even at the end, she still wanted to throw dirt on me and pin the blame on me for pushing my ex-girlfriend to the end. Regarding the contents of this farewell letter, do you have anything to say? The officer's expression was very serious. I replied coldly, it is all lies. I did not push her to this. She trapped herself in the consequences of her own actions. I explained everything between Liu Ruyan and me, from falling in love to breaking up, including her entanglement with Yi Tinsheng, and what happened when she made trouble at my company. I told everything in full detail. Lawyer Song added from the side officer, my client and Ms. Liu Ruyan no longer had any legal relationship. Ms. Liu Ruyan, as a person with full civil capacity, made an independent choice in her final act. The corresponding consequences should not be borne by my client. This farewell letter is full of subjective speculation and emotional accusations. It cannot be used as evidence that my client was at fault. The officer nodded and carefully recorded it in his notebook. Suddenly the officer looked up and asked about Yi Tinsheng. I froze for a moment. That's right, where was Yi Ting-cheng? Had Liu Ruyan not already ended up with him as she wished? Then when she fell, where was Yi Ting-cheng? The officer stood up and walked out. Lawyer Song and I waited in the interview room. About 20 minutes later, the same officer returned. His expression looked somewhat unusual. He said the matter might be more complicated than imagined. It turned out that the police had reviewed the community surveillance footage. Liu Ruyan had taken a taxi to the community alone. She went straight to the rooftop. She stayed on the rooftop for about an hour. During that time, she kept making phone calls. After checking her call records, they discovered that the last call was most likely to Yi Ting-cheng. The call lasted a full 40 minutes. My heart suddenly sank. Her final call was actually to Yi Ting-cheng. What exactly did they talk about? The officer looked at me and slowly explained. Liu Ruyan was pregnant. She wanted Yi Ting-cheng to take responsibility, but Yi Ting-cheng was already a lazy drifter. Not only did he do nothing every day, he had also lost his job because of the earlier scandal. He had no ability to take on that responsibility at all, so he wanted to get rid of Liu Ruyan's entanglement, but he did not expect Liu Ruyan to threaten him with her life. If Yi Ting-cheng would not stay with her, she would go over the edge. Yi Ting-cheng thought Liu Ruyan was only threatening him, so he said some very harsh words to her. What words? I asked urgently. The officer sighed and said, Yi Ting-cheng said, do whatever you want. It would be better if you were gone, then you would stop bothering me. Do you really think I like you? I was only playing around with you. Who told you to be so easy to fool? That fool Wang Xixuan did not want you anymore. Did you really think I would take over? Stop dreaming. After he said those words, Liu Ruyan hung up the phone. Less than a minute after hanging up, she went over the edge. After hearing this, my entire body froze, so the final straw that broke Liu Ruyan was not me, but the male best friend she had always trusted. How ironic. I did not know whether to call her pitiful or hateful. Lawyer Song sharply caught the key point. Officer, regarding Yi Ting-cheng, his actions may already be suspected of negligent conduct leading to another person's passing. The officer nodded. We are investigating in that direction. If verified, he will bear the corresponding legal responsibility. When I walked out of the interview room, I saw Yi Ting-cheng looking like a pile of mud, being dragged out of another room by two officers. His face was ashen, his eyes hollow, his mouth kept muttering that he was wrong. Liu Ruyan's parents also heard the news. They immediately rushed toward Yi Ting-cheng, hitting and cursing him. The police station instantly fell into chaos. I stood outside the crowd, watching everything before me with cold indifference. A farce that began with betrayal and deception finally ended with one person's passing and another person's ruin came to a close. 2 days later, news came from the hospital. Liu Ruyan's injuries were too severe, and she passed away despite rescue efforts. Yi Ting-cheng was also officially criminally detained on suspicion of negligent conduct leading to a person's passing. This matter also caused a huge storm online. On the day my company opened, the news released by the reporters had already made Liu Ruyan and Yi Ting-cheng lose their social standing once. Now that Liu Ruyan had fallen from the building and Yi Ting-cheng had been arrested, it ignited discussion across the internet even more. Public opinion split into several sides. Some people said I was too heartless and had pushed my ex-girlfriend to the edge, calling me a perpetrator of online harassment. Some said Liu Ruyan had brought it on herself and was not worth pitying at all. Others aimed their anger at Yi Ting-cheng, saying he was the true culprit, playing with feelings, and even pushing someone toward self-destruction. For a time, opinions were everywhere. Hanyuan Group's PR department reacted very quickly. They immediately released a statement. In the statement, they clarified that Liu Ruyan and I had broken up long ago, and emphasized that Ruyan's passing was a tragedy caused by many factors. They called on netizens to view the matter rationally. Mr. Dao also personally called me to comfort me and tell me not to be affected by outside comments. Dao Qingye was even more worried about my condition. She directly moved into my home to take care of my daily life. But in truth, my heart was very calm. After everything I had been through, I no longer wanted to obsess over the past, nor did I want my life to be trapped by other people. Let them say whatever they wanted. A clear conscience fears no shadow. After all, my life had already opened a new chapter. My wedding with Zhao Qingya was set for half a year later. On the wedding day, the streets were decorated with lights and festive colors, full of joy. I wore a bright red traditional wedding outfit. Amid the loud sounds of gongs and drums, and the blessings of relatives and friends, I went to receive my bride. Zhao Qingya wore a phoenix crown and ceremonial cape, beautiful beyond reproach. Looking at her smiling like a blooming flower before me, my heart filled with happiness and peace I had never felt before. I had finally found the one who could walk beside me and stay with me for life, a true soulmate. On our wedding night, Zhao Qingya leaned on my shoulder and said softly, "Actually, the first time we met was not at the celebration banquet." She asked whether I remembered the young couple who came to view the wedding house when I sold it. A flash suddenly crossed my mind. That day, there had indeed been a young couple who looked very loving, and who also liked the house a lot. And that girl, I had not dared to look at her carefully. Zhao Qingya smiled and nodded. That was for the house viewing. She and her driver had pretended to be a young couple. At first, after learning from the agent that I was selling the house because my fiancé had betrayed me, and that was why I had to sell the house, she developed a special feeling toward me. There was sympathy, but even more curiosity. So later, at the celebration banquet, when Mr. Gao introduced us, Zhao Qingya was not surprised at all. She even felt this was a fate destined by heaven. Listening to her story, giant waves had already risen in my heart. It turned out our bond had started so long ago. I held her tightly as if I wanted to press her into my very bones. Thank you, Qingya. Thank you for seeing my light when I had fallen into my lowest valley. Thank you for using your love to heal all my scars.